Piracy is defined by dictionary.com as robbery or illegal violence at sea. Piracy in Somalia has gotten much worse than you could ever imagine by reading this definition. These pirates are not anything like Jack Sparrow. They are vicious, cruel, and ferocious. Although piracy off the coast of Somalia is a recent global issue, it is a prevalent one as well. Piracy off the Somali coast started becoming a national problem shortly after the second phase of the Somali Civil War in the early part of the 21st century. The question that comes to everyone's mind when they first hear about this is, what exactly are these pirates doing? The answer to that question is simple yet horrifying. They hijack important trade boats off the Somali coast and hold everyone in the boat hostage for money. And once they get their money, they either will kill everyone being held hostage and steal the boat, or stay true to their word and let them go and leave them alone. Since 2005, many international organizations such as the International Maritime Organization and the World Food Program have expressed deep concern toward the rise in piracy attacks in Somalia. Piracy has led to the severe increase in shipping costs and is keeping the entire world on their feet. Somalia has been an independent country since 1960. From 1960 until 1967, the country had a good leader, President Adan Kadade. Unfortunately, he was only the first and last president during this peaceful time in Somalia. The second president, Abdirashid Ali Sharamaka, won the election to defeat Kadade, but was assassinated right after. That was the beginning of Somalia's troubled and violent current state. The assassination of President Kadade led to a military takeover of the country by Commander of the Army, Mohammed Said Barre. Barre was named the next president of Somalia. His government was corrupt and very repressive. He became a dictator who would put anyone who opposed him in jail. The United Nations Development Program described the 21-year-old regime of Said Barre as the worst human rights record in Africa. The African Watch Committee wrote in a report that both the urban population and the nomads living in the countryside were subjected to summary killings, arbitrary arrest, detention in squalid conditions, torture, rape, crippling constraints on freedom of movement and expression, and a pattern of psychological intimidation. Barre's government also had terrible economic policies. The country just became very poor. There were shortages of many basic foods and necessities. Opposition against Barre began to grow, and a civil war broke out in 1991. The civil war started because clan-based rebel groups, mostly in the northern part of the country, were fed up with the government of Said Barre. The rebel groups were given weapons by Ethiopia and eventually were successful in ousting President Barre. Soon, rebel forces from several different groups began fighting for control, and the country of Somalia has been mostly in chaos and civil war ever since. The war has gotten worse since the beginning in 1991, and the Somali government has been steadily losing control of power to different rebel gangs and clans. Violence has gotten more and more intense every year, and in the June of 2009, the Somali government declared a state of emergency. Many different countries like Yemen, Ethiopia, USSR before Russia provided many money and weapons to different rebel gangs, which helped the rebel gangs continue fighting. There has been continuous violence and chaos for most of Somalia's history. Another serious problem that led to piracy is illegal dumping of waste, even toxic waste. This has been going on since 1991 and the beginning of the Civil War in Somalia. In a Time magazine article, Ishan Tharoor says, beyond illegal fishing, foreign ships have also long been accused by local fishermen of dumping toxic waste and nuclear waste off of Somalia's shores. After December of 2004's huge tsunami stirred up the waters, it was discovered that Somalia's shoreline had been used for the dumping of toxic waste. An environmental team from the United Nations found uranium and other hazardous materials on the coastal waters and on land because the waves from the tsunami had brought so much water to the shore. This has caused a lot of health problems for Somali people, including skin rashes and respiratory problems. The Somali fishermen did not start out as pirates. At first, they were just trying to protect their fishing industry and their water from chemicals. But it didn't take long for the fishermen to learn that they could make a lot of money pirating ships and stealing their fish. They then figured out that they could get even more money demanding ransoms for the ships and the crew on the ships. Soon, piracy had replaced fishing as the easiest way to make money. For a person who is used to making less than $2 a day, it was a lot of money. They might have thought it was the only real way to survive. In an interview, Sigul Ali, a sea pirate leader, was quoted by saying, "We don't consider ourselves sea bandits. We consider ourselves sea bandits to be those who we consider sea bandits to be those who illegally fish and dump in our seas." A prime example of the potential collateral damage effect from Somali piracy was on January 10, 2008 in London. The United States called to join a new international naval force to battle pirates off the Somali coast, saying the military coalition will be under the American command. Some 23 countries were to contribute to the force, according to the U.S. Fifth Fleet, which was coordinating the operation out of Bahrain, a small country in the Persian Gulf. Commanded by U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Terrence McKnight of the U.S. Navy, the task force expected to start work the following week. Currently, there are more than a dozen warships guarding Somalia's waters. The US, Britain, China, France, Germany, Iran, Russia, and India all have naval forces off the coast of Somalia. Spain is the latest nation to send troops to the region. Some 395 military personnel and a patrol plane will be sent by Madrid. The force includes a frigate and supply ship. The naval coalition has no wider authority to strike at pirate vessels at sea or move against havens on shore. However, the new command is expected to coordinate the activities of the existing warships and make it more efficient. The European Union set up an anti-piracy naval force under British command in the region last month, using warships and aircraft from several nations. In 2008, there were nearly 100 pirate attacks in Somali waters, with about 40 ships taken. The pirates are still holding at least 14 vessels hostage. All of this craziness is happening because of piracy in Somalia. Yes, the pirates are mad because they had their money stolen, and they are taking matters into their own hands and taking it back by force. And yes, the militaries of other countries are trying to stop them, but this is a vicious cycle that is clearly not working. A plan of action needs to be taken for this to stop. Although the militaries are able to stop most of the piracy attacks, they cannot stop them all. The pirates will not be happy until they get their money back, and the rest of the world will not be happy until the waters of our world are safe.